Rollo, we are just buying women when it comes to dating, or are we just buying women when it comes to dating or relationships? Good question. We don't have to call them parasites, but would you just call it call it for what it is already? Okay. We can use the term parasite if you'd like. I don't have any problem with that. I would say this is that even the most validational relationships between men and women can devolve into transactional relationships if you as a guy allow it, for sure. I think we try to formalize this, particularly in the way that we do marriage right now. But people was like, I get in this. By the way, I've had this conversation with Aaron Clary before. Aaron Clary will agree with you. He'll say, everything's prostitute. Women are they're all. Wait, here we go.
Well, I'm a whore.
Women are all whores, right? If they can get away with it, they will. And if they can institute it legally, they will. And if men will back them up, they will. And, it's hard to really disagree with that, because a lot of people will say, well, you're either paying for it, renting it, or you're financing it. People will say that same thing about me. Well, I've been married for 27 years, but it's a symbiotic relationship. And it's like hard for me to explain exactly what the benefit is that I get out of having a wife. Right. I love my wife. I mean, there's definitely the emotional side of it as well. And I have a child, and I have a 27-year history with my wife. My wife is downstairs watching Ned right now. Thank you very much. She didn't get paid to watch Ned. Could I pay someone to watch Ned? Fuck yeah, I could, but they wouldn't care as well as my wife does. But I think when it comes down to the transactional side of things, I've got it was in a player's handbook, the difference between transactional sex and validational sex. I think that's really what kind of narrows that whole question down, because when we're talking about prostitution, like paying for box, right? I've always said, you can buy a man a whore and you get him laid for a night, but if you teach him game, you get him laid for a lifetime. Yes, that's a play on the old parable. But the idea is that, should you pay for box? Oh, remember when everybody came at Myron and Fresh for using seeking arrangements? Oh, yeah, that's just for whores. No, those women are there because they know what they want, and those men are there because they know what those women want too. It's all above board. And is it transactional? It could be, very much so. But I will say this, is that when I've experienced this myself in my rock star 20s. I've experienced it several times, women who just wanted to fuck for the sake of fucking. And that's why I think that whole bullshit with Jordan Peterson talking about people who have casual sex, they're pathological, or no, they're psychopaths. No, they're not psychopaths. They just enjoy fucking. Can't we just can we just say, you know what? We like to, right? I mean, there's a reason why guys have a problem with pornography right now, because it is unlimited access, virtually, vicariously, unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. So if you're going to have a problem with people who have sex like vicariously or promiscuously or whatever, what about the guys who are addicted to porn? Are they psychopaths too? Because they're essentially engaging in unlimited access to unlimited sexuality that they can't actually get, but they would if they could. So are they also psychopaths, or do they just want to fuck? Everybody wants some, man. David Lee Roth was right. Everybody wants some. Want some, get some. I was talking to, I was talking, actually it was Jay Waller. I had a conversation with Jay Waller about this because of that one video that he had pressing the red button, right? You press the red button and you could have side pieces. You could have girls on the side, and you can still have your wife and your kids, and they tuck them in at night, and you still have this loving, wonderful married relationship. But you'd also have, if you had the opportunity, you would, men are only as faithful as their opportunity, right? Or the options. And I talked to Jay, and I'm still kind of waiting for an answer, maybe. But I'm like, would you have more respect for me, or would you have less respect for me if you found out that I cheated on my wife? I never cheated on my wife. I never would, right? Does that make me a beta male? Does that mean blue pill? Or does that mean that I'm actually pretty satisfied with my sex life and I'm good with it? I'm happy with it, right? She takes care of me, and I take care of her. And you know what I do for a living, and you know where I go on every other week in Vegas, and you know who I hang out with. The thing is that the idea of transactional sex and validational sex is most people's most people's frame of reference, especially guys, if you think about guys who are like the 80%er guys, the guys who are like the unattractive guys, the beta males, for lack of a better word. But you look at guys who are in the 80 percentile, the ones that women find unattractive, they've got to find ways to make themselves attractive, or they've got to find ways to sort of cope. And part of that cope is trying to get guys to think that they shouldn't be, engaging in promiscuous sex if that's what they could do. So what I wanted to know was, like, if that's the case, if you think that somebody like living the lifestyle of Jay Waller or Mike Sartain, or even, I don't know what, I'm not even going to mention Tate because I don't know what the fuck his arrangement is. But if it's close on her end and open on his end in that kind of arrangement, like first of all, where's the boundaries for like infidelity? And then second of all, like, if that's what you can pull off, if that's what you can, like, if you can do that, does that make you a bad person for doing that? Or are you just simply following your own imperatives? Are you simply like, does that make you a bad guy? And is that transactional or is that validational? I've been in positions where I have had validational sex, and thank God, I learned the difference. But I think that if you're in a position where you don't have a lot of sexual access, if you're a guy, if you're one of these guys who are like the invisibles, right? These undesirables, and you don't have that sexual access, transactional sex seems like the only kind of sex there is. So when I was, like I said, when I was in my rock star 20s, I could have women who would pull me off stage and go drag me into the women's bathroom and, and do things. Not because I had a lot of money, not because I had anything of value. I had women who would come over to my place in North Hollywood, and Lord knows I had a pickup truck and I had my amp and I had some guitars, and that was my liquid assets when I lived in Los Angeles. And I was still getting laid every Friday, every Saturday night. Didn't have it. Like, that clearly wasn't transactional. So there was something about me, or about guys like me at that time, that made this attractive and arousing enough to want to have sex with and want to like actually break rules to have sex with. So I know validational sex is actually a thing. In validational relationship, if you can carry that over into a relationship, I think those are actually more healthy than ones that are based on transaction. Whenever I hear a guy say happy wife, happy life, that's transactional sex. That's an idiom. That's a folk tale for transactional sex. If I keep her happy, then we'll have a happy life. Don't make mama, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And if mama ain't happy, you're not getting your sucked. Or I'll see these, like, people throw these memes at me where they'll have like the good, like cookie time for good boy list, right? Cookie time for good boy. That's what it's a list of all these chores that the guy has to do. And if he does these and performs these chores, he gets a blow, or he gets to, sex on the weekend or in the shower or something, like whatever the perk was for changing the diapers or mowing the lawn or some shit like that. Is transactional sex. And people, like, guys will say, well, hey, women, I guess we'll never understand them. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, that's the guy that has his only frame of reference is transactional when it comes to sex. He's never been desired just because he's hot and women want to fuck him. And I will point this out, and I'll end with this, is that when I see like a guy like Jay Waller, and I have seen this happen, I have the photo to prove this too. When I see him at a restaurant and some chick walks by, a nice looking chick walks by and drops a note. It's like it was a tag or whatever, the menu tag, and has her phone number on it and says, call Ashley. They're all called Ashley, right? And it puts a number, and he's like holding this up, and it's like, I just happened right there in front of me and Tom and his assistant Tom, and then Justin right there. That's validational. That's not like, yeah, I want to, he's going to pay me to me. No, she wants to him. That's validational. Those are the 4.5%ers. Those are the guys who are hot enough that women will do stuff like that, will initiate contact with that guy. Most men will never experience that. That's why transactional sex seems like the most natural. That's all women are, except for your mother, and your dad thinks so.